Cyno is a strong electro-polymer main DPS character. He is able to quickly deal great amounts of electro damage with electro reactions. His elemental burst and skill is simple but powerful. Today, we are going to learn more about Cyno with this absolute guide. Cyno is a main DPS character, so it is necessary to make sure he has high stats of critical rate and damage. His best weapon is the signature weapon, Staff of the Scarlet Sands. This weapon increases critical rate significantly and also increases attack points of the user based on the user's elemental mastery. Cyno is electro DPS character, so his elemental mastery should be above 150. So with this weapon, we don't have to worry about losing attack points of Cyno because of investing elemental mastery point for him. This is the most recommended weapon for Cyno. Cyno's second recommended weapon is Primordial Jade Wing Spear. This weapon can make building Cyno easier to build with weapon substat. Also, it can greatly enhance attack stat with the weapon skill. Other recommended weapons are as below. I strongly recommend choosing the weapons with substats of critical rate or damage for Cyno. The most recommended artifact is Thundering Fury 4-piece. This artifact's 2-piece set increases electro damage by 15%, and 4-piece set increases electro reaction damage significantly. Thus, this artifact is the most suitable artifact for Cyno. However, I want to note that you should make sure that Cyno's elemental mastery stat is higher than 150. Because Cyno is electro DPS character who take great advantage of electro reactions. Once you achieved 150 elemental mastery stat, then you can fully focus on critical rate and damage stats. There are recommended team comp for Cyno. 1. 2 Electro 1 Hydro 1 Dendro. This team comp is good for Cyno's energy recharge. With Dendro and Hydro, Cyno can use Hyper Bloom and will deal great damage. 2. 1 Electro 1 Hydro 2 Dendro. This team comp is good for Cyno's elemental mastery stat. With Dendro and Hydro, Cyno can use Hyper Bloom and will deal great damage. 3. 1 Electro 1 Hydro 1 Dendro 1 Others. This TAM comp can use Hyper Bloom, but cannot activate useful party skill. However, we can freely choose other useful supporters such as Jean, Zhongli, etc. For Electro character I recommend Fiskal, Dori, Kukishinabu, and Raiden Shogun. For Hydro character I recommend Furina, Zinki, Yelan. For Dendro character I recommend Nahida, Beishu, Yaoyo, Kali, and Traveler. I want to note that if you are going to use Furina for Cyno's team comp, make sure take wide burst healers such as Beishu or Jean. Here is the recommended rotation for Cyno. I want to note that make sure to use enhanced elemental skill rather focusing using normal elemental skill after activating elemental burst. If you want to know more about playing of Cyno, watch this video. First of all, we don't have to upgrade his normal attack, because his elemental burst has its own rate for damage, which means after activating elemental burst, Cyno's normal attack talent is useless. So I recommend you not to waste materials on upgrading normal attack. Secondarily, about his elemental skill. Before activating his elemental burst, his elemental skill is very simple. However, after elemental burst, we have to focus on using enhanced elemental skill in order to deal great amounts of damage. Lastly, his elemental burst. After elemental burst, he will get extra 100 elemental mastery stat. I recommend you upgrade Elemental Burst and Skill first, and don't waste materials on normal attack. I prepared Cyno's strengths and weaknesses. You can refer this information to make your mind. First, strengths. Cyno is an Electro main DPS character. He can deal great amounts of damage with Electro reactions. Especially, he is good at defeating bosses. Lastly, Cyno is a super easy to use character. Just activate Elemental Burst and use Elemental Skill, that's all. Now weakness. Cyno is so focused on his Elemental Burst, which means, if his energy is not charged, he is useless. So, we have to make sure that the stat of his energy recharge is more than 130. Also, it's not easy to build since we have to consider about his elemental mastery, energy charge, and critical rate and damage stat. The most horrible thing to say that is we have to get lots of scarabs. That's all for strengths and weaknesses. The choice is yours. The most valuable constellation of Cyno is C2. I think, if you have Raiden Shogun, you don't have to waste your fates on Cyno.